About 4 months ago I made a little 20-liter Nano Aquascape as a birthday present for my nephew. The goal was to create something super low maintenance, so he would only have to feed the fish, and once a month I would come over to do a water change. Here's a quick recap of how I made the Aquascape. I had just removed the previous layout in this tank and wanted to reuse as much of the Herscape and plants for this new low maintenance setup. The Aquasoil was already 2 years old, but still had enough nutrients and beneficial bacteria, so I covered it with a fresh layer of coarse black sand. The Herscape was just a few lava rocks and 2 pieces of spiderwood that I had wrapped in phoenix moss. The rest of the planting consists of mostly hairgrass in the foreground and crypts in the mid and background. After everything was done, the aquarium stayed with me for 3 more weeks just to let it grow in, so it would look really good once I would hand it over to my nephew. During those 3 weeks the aquarium did get CO2 injection and liquid fertilizer. Fast forward 4 months later, let's see how the aquarium is doing right now. Alright, we're here. So this is like the 3rd time I'm visiting, and every time I'm a little bit worried how I'm gonna find the thing, what the state is gonna be. But every time I'm quite surprised by how well it's actually doing. So this little nano tank has been standing here for almost 4 months now. And in that time it only had 2 water changes, that's it. No liquid fertilizers, only some daily feeding of the fish. Let's see if I can close the curtains. Here we go, that's better. So yeah, it's been here for 4 months, only had 2 water changes, no liquid fertilizers, just a little bit of feeding of the fish. And I mean it's not the best looking aquascape. And there's a clear nutrient deficiency going on in the moss. But besides that, it just doesn't look too bad. There's barely any algae on the glass. There is a little bit of algae in between the moss over there in the back. And that's just because this tank gets actually quite a lot of sunlight, I think. It's currently 11 o'clock in the morning. The sun is now hitting on that side. So it's still going to move all the way there. So I definitely think that this tank gets quite a lot of sunlight during the day. And yeah, it seems to be handling it quite well. So my last visit was about a month ago. So we just did a simple water change. But then I already knew okay, we need to do a little bit more next time. So I came prepared. I brought my tools, brought my fertilizers. So let's do a proper maintenance session. I think my nephew is on holiday. He will be back in a week or so. So when he comes back, the tank is looking super fresh again. So the main thing that had to be done here was trimming the moss, and for this I used my special moss vacuum cleaner. This is super helpful if you want to trim plants and siphon them out right away, but don't want the water level in the tank to drop. If you want to know how I made this, I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Okay guys, take it from me, if you want a low maintenance aquascape, don't use moss, okay? Just don't use moss. I mean, in a way, yes, it's low maintenance. This, especially this Viscidens moss does grow quite slowly. This is the first trimming session in, it's been 5 months since I set it up, I think. So it does grow very slowly, but if you do have to trim it, it's an absolute nightmare. But it does look quite okay now. So the main problem in this aquarium is a bit of a nutrient deficiency. I mean, we're not dosing any liquid fertilizer in here, and basically the plants that are growing in the substrate, they're doing quite okay. I mean, the hairgrass looks healthy, the Hydrocotyl tripartita, the clover looking plant is looking healthy. In the background we have some Vallisneria and some crypts. They're doing healthy, they're looking good as well. But the moss is just suffering because there's literally no nutrients in the water column. I don't think it's a good idea to start dosing liquid fertilizers, especially with the sunlight that we have coming in. That will just probably give us more algae issues. So instead I brought a couple of root taps. I think I'm going to just put some root taps in the substrate. Hopefully they will also release a little bit of nutrients into the water column just very slowly. And that will hopefully be enough for the moss. Well, let's give that a try. And what else I want to do? Oh yeah, I took some plants with me. So I had this in vitro pot of Helantium bolivianum quadricustatus at home. I was not using it, so I thought maybe we can use it in this aquarium. I think that would be nice. And I also noticed that the redwood floaters, the floating plants, they were not doing very well. So I brought some Salvinia floating plants. Maybe they will do better in here. So let's add those as well. And then I think we're almost done. 2 weeks after the trimming session, the moss looks a bit better. It's definitely more vibrant green than before, but if I would have to make another low maintenance aquascape, I would not use moss again. Let's see how the aquascape develops in the next few months, and if necessary we can always do a little rescape and remove the moss.